So just using what I've got available to me, the little bit of railway line offcut, a selection of hammers and the 8-inch vise, I've managed to fashion this up. It's far from perfect, but it looks like it's going to do the job. So I'm happy enough that it's touching up on that flange there, and it's touching in on the main firewall there, and that I'm going to cut that with a friction cutter to get it to match up a little better, and then I'll give this a bit of a massage to line up with that, because that looks like it's been tampered with at some stage before. It's hard. I think maybe the car had an accident on the front left corner. So I've only got another hour left this morning until I have to get ready to go out and meet some mates for lunch. So I'll just see if I can start getting that tacked in and aligned a little better. That's going in okay so far. That's just welded from the outside of the car, and there's this stuff is so thin, and my section that I'm putting in is 1.2. I think this is about either 1 or 0.9, and this section here is a repair section from previously, so that welded really nicely actually. When I get back from lunch, I'm going to match that up and that up there, and tidy up these welds inside and out, and re-weld whatever needs doing. I did a bit of the copper weld through spray, and that was really nice to weld. I'll just show you from the outside. So here we are in the wheel well. I've just done 2 of the plug holes for now, and no problem at all welding through the copper. As you know, normal gas wire is actually coated in copper to stop corrosion, I'd imagine. I've never actually researched why they do that, but I'm pretty sure that's why they would. So that matched up pretty well. That material's quite thin, so it formed to this shape here. This was reluctant to move because there's so much happening in there, and as I said prior, I'm not a sheet metal worker, so I'll need to fill that gap there, and I'm a bit shy on the return here. I might have a go and fill that in, make this little return section up properly. It's a shame I was a bit short there, but and then I've got this strip up here that has to go back in later, and that has this return. That was this inner guard, so that has a return on there to stitch or to plug weld on here. So it doesn't have too much of a bend in it. I might actually have a go and see if I can make it in one piece. It might be a bit of fun. I'll obviously have to stretch that return here excuse me, to be able to follow this curve through here. There is, I'll show you that way, there is a little bit of a radius to it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that one, and then obviously that piece up there has to be done. And then I'm thinking, because this is a replacement section, I'm actually going to cut it out, and it's quite thick. I'll either cut it out and replace it, or cut it out and clean it and put it back in. As you would have seen in the earlier parts of the video, there was a rust hole here. So I decided to cut this section out, and I went right up into the new material here because I wasn't happy with this transition here. So and the other thing I've noticed, I've made up the replacement panel for here. Pretty happy with that. That's just shrinking marks, because I've got a panel beater's hammer that's got a shrinking end on it. Just because I stretched it a few times and I went too far, so I just tapped it with the shrinker just to try and make the thing more uniform I should say. And all I did was, I'll show you what I did actually, because I don't have any rollers here. Because I don't have any rollers, I just opened the vise, and I have this old piece of teak, and I was just it's a bit hard to do one-handed, but I just rolled this through while tapping with my ball peen hammer there, tapping a lot, and just gradually rolling this through. And it took about 3 passes to get it right, because I just wanted to have a go at it without bruising the material. It's not perfect, but it's better than my previous attempt. So when I set this in though, this flange was proud and this part of the flange here was damaged. So I cut that out, but I've also cut, you can see here, I've cut it away completely, and that's going to be fun to weld up because it's only about 1 mil, probably even 0.9. So I decided to slice a cut in there so this will sit in place. And you'll have to excuse my fit up. I cut a little bit too much at the bottom there, so I'll have a little bit of fun filling that. But now at least it sits in, and then I'll just have a play around. I'll do a slice down here as I start. I'll tack it in on the bottom, get it to sit reasonably well, and then I'll slice up the side there to get it to come in, and then I'll slice through here to get that to mate up. And out of interest, I've got something to show you with this copper spray I'm using. Here's the section I cut out, and there's that part that I wasn't happy with. Ended up with a big gap, and it was just messy. Now I tried to just melt through to get to that old flange in there. You can see I put the copper spray on there, and it's not actually even proper weld through copper, I should say, weld through copper coating. It's actually called Firewall. I believe it's either a Japanese or Chinese product. I'll put it on screen shortly. But if we look here, just try and keep it in focus, where I tried to spot that through and actually melted the material through, it was quite resilient. It's only about a 1.5 2 mil diameter around there that's actually burnt away, and the copper coat has stood up really well. As I said in earlier videos here, copper based weld through primer is basically impossible to find here, but the information that I could garner on this Firewall product shows that people are using it successfully as a weld through primers. Apparently 56% copper content in the dry film, and it's Firewall. Not too sure where it's made. Made in China. Formula by Japan. And that's it's fairly reasonable. It's about $25 Australian delivered, and from memory, that's cheaper than what weld through primers cost in Australia. I'll put a price conversion on the list on the screen for you. Anyway, I'll keep on going with this repair and hopefully do another update in an hour or two. Okay, so that's been re-welded. It's got some porosity and blow through in it. I'm not fussed about that, it will all get sealed later. It's way stronger than what it was before. That's the new replacement section there, and I'm not concerned about that gap up there because the original part actually had the same, a similar cutout. They must have done that because maybe it was that flange, the way this section, this inner guard was probably pressed up that way, and it just avoided any creases by having that cutout, I'd imagine. So I'm happy to leave that gap there, and plus it will all be tied in and my material's thicker than original anyway. Now I've just used the Firewall copper spray that I mentioned earlier. That's still a bit shiny up there because I put a heavy coat on it and it's still in the process of drying, but it actually does dry to a semi-matte, like a satin finish. Now, as I said earlier, I've just pre-drilled this one, so I'm going to, where my thumb is, I'm going to tack it up there first, and then just tack along this area here, and using a C vice grip I'll pull all that in. The reason it's not touching the flange at the moment is because there's an overlap here where my finger is, so I'll slice all that in, as I learnt a few years ago on Fitzy's channel, which is a fantastic rust and structural repair panel forming video YouTube channel, I should say. So I'll link that as well, or just put an insert so you can find it. I'll trim that in as well once we work our way up there. So I'm reasonably happy with that. I'm getting better at this thin stuff as I go, and we'll see you soon. Alright, well that's all tacked in place now, so I'm pretty happy with that. And it's got the return on the sides there. It's a little bit how you're going where those two meet, but I'll put a little bit more weld on there because this is all 1.2, so I'll be able to put a bit of weld on there. I'll put a bit of weld on here where it got a bit carried away with the flap disc, and build that up, and then blend it all in. I'll do these extra plug welds that you can see there. So I'm going to go and have a break now. It's about lunchtime, and then I'll come back and wire wheel that and weld it. It's just surprising, you know, like when I was dealing with this little return in behind here, how flimsy everything felt. You know, like it's not really obvious there, but very, very thin and flimsy. You could bend it with 2 fingers. But now that it's, I can't grab it very much because it's still pretty warm. It's tied in, and with these returns, it's really, really solid. I can actually grab it. The heat has dissipated through the materials, but even though this is all still free up here, it's not welded to anything up through there at all. It's just with these shapes and all being tied in together, it's rock solid. I'm pretty impressed with how all the shapes and so forth, and when they roll these swages into the material, how that all really stiffens everything up. I'm looking forward to using my roller on the floor sections when that all happens. Anyway, I'll go and have a break, and I'll show you a bit more shortly. Right, so that's welded in. I took a bit of time, and there was a few blow throughs and a bit of porosity, so I just touched those up a little bit and just got in there with a 40 grit flap disc. It's actually become a 4-inch flap disc now because I ran it down on the brick to try and get an edge on it again. It's just a really cheap pack of 10 that I got off Lazada, so I didn't expect them to last very well. So what I'm going to do now is do this infill here, I think, or no, actually I might go up inside and attach that to the firewall there and up there. I'll have to wrap a glove around this bit of exhaust pipe that I've got covering the main wiring loom out of the engine bay. I suppose I better do that because then I can do this nicely afterwards once this section up here is all filled in. So I'll finish this one and then I'll start on that one, and then I'll come back and do this one, I suppose. I'm just about to start welding this firewall repair on the inside, and I was putting the grinder down that join between the new and old material and had a bit of a whoopsie. The grinder moved, a bit of an awkward spot, and it's opened up the gap. But fortunately, from the engine bay, I can slide my copper backing plate in there, which is about 10mm thick, and so I can put a nice hot juicy weld up there. And the benefit of that is, by putting a wider weld, it will actually, when it cools down, it will shrink back and will pull this all back towards the camera, which I'm in favour of, because as you can see there's some damage here, and this part of the firewall has moved forward a couple of mil. So by putting a nice hot weld in there, and when that shrinks, it will pull it back towards the camera and get the firewall back reasonably close to where it used to be. Bit of a whoopsie, but a win in the end. This is the infill panel. It's not finally shaped yet. It's got a bit of a taper there, and it's all over the shop actually, and that is going to go in here. So it's not finalized. I have to trim it in a bit yet. It's not quite sitting in place, but I'll just put it into place and show you what it is, and then I have to pack up for the day. It's after 5 o'clock already. I just offered it up inside, and there's a seam up in there and a join onto a structural press section that goes across the car, with the dash attached to, I suppose. And I can see that I've bent this too far. This bend is too far that way, and I also bent it too much. I did have 4 goes at bending it, and on the last one I just gave it too much. So I'm just going to draw a line across here like that, and that will show me basically how much I have to move the bend by. This material, this 1.2, is as soft as butter, so I'll easily flatten it out and move the bend towards the front of the car a little bit, shorten up this little return section here, and I think we'll still be able to salvage this piece. It's not sitting right there, but it's just roughly held in place with a magnet. So that's going to do for today. I'll edit all these videos together this evening and get them up, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching again. Bye for now.